Welcome to Pixelated Therapy, where we take the subjects of gaming and psychology, and what we try to do is to use the former to explain some of the latter, or even some of the latter to explain some of the former. Today we want to talk about Maslow and Minecraft. Now, Abraham Maslow was born in 1908 and passed in 1970. He was born in Brooklyn, New York, under a Jewish heritage. A few things stands out, in my opinion, about Maslow's life. One is the fact that he grew up with a mother who seemingly had a strong disdain for her child. She constantly let him know that Jehovah hated him, which is kind of weird to me, considering how a lot of religion, or at least kind of the religion that focuses on Jehovah, Yahweh, however you want to do it, focuses on the love of God. She constantly told her child that God hated him. Not only that, but throughout his life she did a lot to mistreat him. So I believe a lot of her views of God concerning this child was how she viewed him. Regardless of that, this likely led to his becoming an atheist later on in his life. As he grew, he began to study the Gestalt theory of counseling. And as he studied it, he took note of the various individuals involved in it and began to study a lot about their lives, about their teachings, and began to grow more and more in that theory. And as he progressed as a counselor, he became known as one of the fathers of what's called need theories. And this theory basically follows why we're motivated to do the things that we do. We do those things based on various needs that we all have. Now, one of the things that stands out about his views on this subject is that of happiness. Maslow was one of the first psychologists to focus on happiness as a central concern. And so he believed that we do the things that we do to help maintain happiness in our lives. And as we go through a specific theory of his, you'll better understand what he means by this. Now, this may seem like a surprise to some, but Abraham Maslow has a theory which is a focal point for many survival games. I do not believe that the creators of these games made the decision to focus on Maslow's theories while doing this, but it's still there. It's still a prominent feature, regardless of whether the developers meant to do that or not. And the game that we're going to focus on, specifically for this, is that of Minecraft. Now, there are many games which would likely follow suit, but I chose Minecraft for a few specific reasons. One, it is a well-known game. I guarantee you that if you're watching this video, you likely already know what I'm talking about when I talk about Minecraft. Not just the fact that it's the video playing in the background while this video is playing, but you've likely played it, you possibly continue to play it, and even if you've done neither one of those, you at least have somewhat of a basic understanding of its popularity. And so as I go through this, more than likely I won't need to explain any of the ins and outs of it, but I'm still going to do so to help better explain the whole subject of this video. The other reason is because Minecraft is dear to me. When the game was first released in 2009, I kind of took note of it. I didn't actually get the game until around 2010, 2011, when I lived in Jacksonville, Florida. And here it is some almost 20 years later, and I'm still playing the game. It's on my PlayStation 4, my PlayStation 5. I had it on my Xbox One before I sold it. I have it on my PC. It's still something I enjoy playing. It's actually one of my go-to games when it comes to relaxation. Now, having at least that little foundation in mind, let's get into the connection between Maslow and Minecraft. At the end of World War II, Abraham Maslow posited a theory concerning human motivation. This is referred to as the hierarchy of needs. The theory was first explained in his 1948 book, A Theory of Human Motivation, and it's going to be the major source that we use for today's video. The best way to explain the hierarchy of needs would be to show a pyramid, like this one. And this pyramid would consist of 5 levels: the physiological, basic, belongingness, self-esteem, and self-actualization. Now, depending on where you go, there may be more levels, but this is the basic 5 levels that are normally seen when we talk about the hierarchy of needs. Now, everyone starts at the bottom, and in order to travel up the pyramid, we must satisfy the lower before we can move up. And we have to satisfy it at the most basic level. So we start with the physiological needs as it is on the bottom of the list. These are the needs which are vital to a person being able to live and to have homeostasis or balance within the body. This would be fulfilling certain needs such as food, water, sleep, and other things. If I'm hungry, what do? I eat. If I'm thirsty, what do? I drink. If I am cold, I'm going to seek out warmth by a fire or some sort of heat source. I may put on an extra layer of clothing or add an extra blanket to the bed, or I may even take a hot shower. But these are all just examples of some of the basic needs that we have. Now, someone may ask the question, well, why is this physiological and not with the basic needs? Because these seem to be the basic needs. Well, one of the reasons is that Maslow refers to these as being prepotent. And in pages 7 and 8 of his book, he writes, what this means specifically is that in the human being who is missing everything in life in an extreme fashion, it is most likely that the major motivation would be the physiological needs rather than any other. A person who is lacking food, safety, love, and esteem would most probably hunger for food more strongly than anything else. If all the needs are unsatisfied and the organism is then dominated by the physiological needs, all other needs may become simply non-existent or be pushed into the background. Now, this is the need that you're always going to go back to. While a meal may satisfy your hunger, guess what's going to happen? You're going to be hungry again later on in the day. While we may try to ignore sleeping, guess what's one of the basic constants in our lives? We need rest. And the reason why we need these things is it literally puts us in a situation where we hurt ourselves, we hurt our health. And remember, he said up above that these are items that are vital to our living and to having balance within the body. And if we don't do these things, well, it kind of ruins that. Again, on page 9, he said one main implication of this phrasing is that gratification becomes as important a concept as deprivation in motivation theory, for it releases the organism from the domination of a relatively more physiological need, permitting thereby the emergence of other more social goals. The physiological needs, along with their partial goals when chronically gratified, cease to exist as active determinants or organizers of behavior. They now exist only in a potential fashion in the sense that they may emerge again to dominate the organism if they are thwarted. But a want that is satisfied is no longer a want. The organism is dominated and its behavior organized only by unsatisfied needs. If hunger is satisfied, it becomes unimportant in the current dynamics of the individual. But once these basic needs are met, we move up a notch to the basic or the safety needs. While Maslow believed this was very closely related to the physiological, he placed it above the physiological needs as something like hunger might just override the need for safety, but not always. There are a variety of ways that a person may seek after safety. Having a place to live, as it protects one from wild animals, the elements, and things of that nature. There are other forms of safety that one might not think of, But when you really think about it, these are ways that we try to safeguard ourselves in our lives. Having a savings account, health insurance, retirement set up, things like that are all forms of safety. And I know millennials are crying right now. It'll be all right, we'll make it through this. Maslow considered religion and even science as forms of safety, although he states these are not the only reasons a person may be involved in either. So this need, basically at the end of the day, focuses on the idea of protecting myself one way or the other. Now, if both the physiological and the safety needs are met, we move up a notch to the belongingness, or as Maslow calls it, the love needs. He writes, now the person will feel keenly as never before the absence of friends, or a sweetheart, or a wife, or children. He will hunger for affectionate relations with people in general, namely for a place in his group, and he will strive with great intensity to achieve this goal. He will want to attain such a place more than anything else in the world, and may even forget that once, when he was hungry, he sneered at love. Now, a few designations that Maslow makes about this need to be pointed out. One designation is that love and sex are not the same thing. He believed that sex may be best considered a purely physiological need, although he did admit that more study would need to be done to really truly make that distinction. He also pointed out that love is not just the giving of love. It's not just the receiving of love. Love, according to Maslow, was both of those things. Now from there, we move up a notch to esteem. In this need, we have a desire to have proper self-esteem and to be recognized by others. This might come with a feeling of accomplishment for a job well done, a job promotion, being praised for doing something good, maybe taking part in diet and exercise, and seeing the results of muscle gain and weight loss, maybe overcoming some great obstacle in one's life. The list goes on, but these items, as mentioned, help build up a person's self-esteem, recognition that others give them, and so that helps with those items. And then from there we move on to self-actualization. And what he says here is, even if all these needs are satisfied, we may still often, if not always, expect that a new discontent and restlessness will soon develop, unless the individual is doing what he is fitted for. A musician must make music. An artist must paint. A poet must write. If he is to be ultimately happy, what a man can be, he must be. This need we may call self-actualization. And so this is the need which strives for self-fulfillment, where we become what we can potentially become. And this isn't always creative endeavors, although a person who is creative would do just that. It might be expressed in the way that an athlete trains and how they strive to be the best. Maybe it's expressed in a way that a speedrunner repeatedly plays a game searching for tricks, exploits, and other means to get a faster time. He's going to do the work and practice to shave off a few seconds in the hopes of securing a world record. It could even be something simply as a mother or the father doing the best they can to be the best parents they can be for their children. Now, in order to do this, there are some things that need to be done first. Maslow wrote, the clear emergence of these needs rests upon prior satisfaction of the physiological, safety, love, and esteem needs. We shall call people who are satisfied in these needs basically satisfied people, and it is from these that we may expect the fullest and healthiest creativeness. Now, what this means is that in order for you and I to reach this goal of self-fulfillment, we will constantly be fulfilling the need for hunger, sleep, safety, love, self-esteem, things of that nature. And even then, Maslow referred to these satisfied people as the exception and not the rule. What this means is that not everyone is going to meet this goal. Now, the reason why will differ from person to person, but it seems like these are the satisfied few and not the many. And there's much more to this theory of human motivation. I would recommend reading Maslow's book, A Theory of Human Motivation, and what I'll do is provide a link to this book for purchase on Kindle. It's around 35 pages long according to my Kindle, although I'm fairly certain it's a little bit longer than that, but it's still worth your time. Now, we just needed to get the basics down to do one thing, so we can examine how Maslow is connected to Minecraft. Before we get into this examination, there are a few things that we need to state. This does not include creative mode. In creative mode, you have no hunger. Enemies do not spawn or attack you. There is no need for sleep and things of that nature. There are also some limitations to the base game and survival mode, which we will try to address in this video. That being said, when you first load into the game, your physiological needs have already been met. Your character spawns well rested, the hunger meter is completely full, and you are completely healthy. Since these needs have been met, you are already starting at the second tier, safety. Nightfall is coming, and there are a few things you need to make. First of all, a home. Now, this could be a very crude home, as you don't have a lot of time. This could be dug into the side of a mountain with a wooden door, opening and closing for safety measures. It could be a basic box made out of dirt or wood, including the roof. And what this does, this protects you from zombies, skeletons, creepers, endermen, and things of that nature. You may also make weaponry. Starting out, you may just craft yourself an axe with a dual purpose. You're able to cut down trees with more efficiency, and you're able to defend yourself if the need arises. Or you could craft a pickaxe, same purpose. A pickaxe you could mine into stone while searching for coal, iron, or even making yourself a little cubbyhole for protection. Or you can use that to defend yourself. You might even make a sword, which contains a dual purpose, as you would not need it just for defense, but also to kill creatures for food. Now, as one progresses through the game, there are two things that this person would notice. The hunger bar is slowly going to deplete. Now, the speed of that is going to depend whether or not you're attacked by a creature. If not, the hunger bar will slowly go down. If you are attacked, you'll notice that the bar will go down quicker until about 1.5 pieces of hunger are gone. That's because of the fact that it speeds up the process so that you can heal some of the hearts that were lost. It also depletes quickly as one runs or swims through an area until you have about 3 pieces of hunger left. This is a need which is going to be constantly met throughout this game. A character will need to grow a garden and or kill woodland creatures such as sheep, pigs, chickens, or cows. You may even choose to steal from villages, things of that nature. And these aren't the only foods that you can make. You can make cakes, bread, soup, things of that nature. But again, we're talking about some of the basic things in the beginning that you may not have access to from the very start. If you are in dire straits, you can consume the flesh of a recently killed zombie, but that's not always the wisest thing to do. Sleep will also be important, as some might like working through the midnight hours. But if one goes a certain period of time without sleep, the game will spawn phantoms, and these flying creatures will swoop down to attack and kill your character. And so you're going to need a bed in order to sleep at night. This will require 3 pieces of wood and 3 pieces of the same color wool. A bed is going to also be important as it works as a spawning point. If you are killed by some creature, you will respawn near said bed instead of the area where you first spawned. Therefore, it's going to be important for your character to make use of this bed, because hopefully you'll be closer to the items that you're lost if you're killed, rather than having to restart completely and maybe potentially being lost onto how to get back to where you were. And so, these are going to be constant needs as you play through the game. Sleep and hunger will constitute your physiological needs. A place to sleep at night and weaponry will take the safety aspect. You're always going to need these no matter what. Now, belongingness and love is one of the major limitations we have here. Because if you're playing a single-player game, there's really no actual love, as in with another character like yours. Now, you can move yourself to a village and use that as your base. You might even create measures to provide safety for the villagers and yourself, like putting up a wall around the village with doors so villagers can exit at day and enter at night. You might even be able to place ample torches so enemies cannot spawn near the village at night. I even have a friend who, while playing Minecraft, enjoys building extra houses and beds for the villagers. This in turn helps grow the village, and you're also able to trade with certain villagers, such as the blacksmiths, the alchemists. You're able to trade certain items in order to get emeralds, or trade emeralds to get certain items. And as you level up through the trading process, there's more of this give and take that's involved, more things become available to you. And so, technically, this would all follow the idea of belongingness that we're talking about. One could also have a sense of belonging by getting a pet. You can tame a wolf, cat, or a parrot in this game, and these companions will follow you around and in some cases help you out. As an example, if you tame a wolf and allow the wolf to travel with you, they will attack certain animals and kill them without you having to raise up a fuss to do it. Or they will attack certain enemies that are trying to hurt you in order to protect you. And so you may ask, well, how would love apply here? Well, this animal is giving love because they're protecting you. And in turn, you are protecting that animal to make sure that they don't die. And if they take damage, you can feed them to keep them, well, of course, fed, keep them healthy so that they don't die. And the animal will display hearts around its body, showing the love that it has for its owner. So you have that giving and receiving of love. Now, there's another way for companionship in this game, and that's playing with someone else. And so one of the ways that my daughter and I bond is through playing Minecraft together. We enjoy playing survival mode and even creative mode, and this is something that we've done to kind of grow closer together. We've also played using online multiplayer where, I think it's the Portals feature, where I played the game with her and two of her friends. And so playing like this might give a sense of belonging to your character as well as yourself because you are in a community of other gamers. Again, this is still limited in nature, but it follows suit. The next step is self-esteem, and again, you might say that there's a limit or two that's involved in this, but how could self-esteem come through a game like this? Well, first of all, we understand there's no major overarching story. Yes, the ultimate goal is to get to the end and to kill the Nether Dragon, but there's no real story leading you to that point. You're mining and finding items, and you're slowly building your way to reach that area, but it's not going to be the easiest thing to do. Well, how do you get to that point of self-esteem? Well, first, I would dare say that there's a meter above your health and hunger bars, which shows how your character has leveled up. And this is done through the process of mining certain materials, smelting precious ore, cooking raw foods into something edible, killing an enemy, and through other ways. When your character dies, you lose everything. You lose your XP, you lose whatever items that you have, and your goal is to, if possible, traverse back to where your character died, to gather those items back. The only problem is, at no point are you able to regain all of your XP. You may be able to get some of it back, but you won't gain it all. Well, as you progress through the game, you see that bar and the number that goes with it growing larger. It could bring a bit of self-esteem to know that you've progressed through the game and you've improved greatly. If you find that your village is attacked and you thwart the illagers from destroying it, that will bring some self-esteem knowing that you protected the Squidward crew. I would also suggest that as you start this game from having wooden implements to iron and building up to ultimately having diamond weapons, armor, other utensils, enchantments being added to them, this will show the progress that you've made through the game, and again that will build up that idea of self-esteem just to show how great or how far you've made it. And finally, there's self-actualization, and I refer to this as creative endeavors. This is the process of making what you want to make. Yes, you still have to stave off hunger. Yes, you still have to protect yourself from harm. You still, to an extent, can build up that community aspect, and you noticed your progression and improvement. Well, then what? Your creativity then comes through. You might choose to build yourself a castle made of nothing from glass. Maybe you choose to build that castle with the village inside of its walls. You can build yourself a mine within its confines to get precious ore. You can explore through the countryside, searching through jungle temples, mansions that are found in forests, igloos with trapdoors in the floor, underwater cities, and gathering materials to help your wishes and dreams come true. The sky is the limit the more resources you gather in this game. And so you're given these opportunities for more and more creativity. The more materials you gather, the more things you're able to do. And as such, you will be able to be more creative as you go on. And so, while you still have to meet all these other basic needs, you're able to reach self-actualization within the game of Minecraft. Now, if only it were that easy in real life. And so that's our connection between Maslow and Minecraft. I hope you enjoyed this video. And as always, I want to say thank you for watching it. I want to say to love each other, to God bless you all, and as always, to game in good health.